Welcome to the first part of our guide to using Techlink Professional. In this part we will look at entering the site, the bulletin content, information library and need to know content. So, when you first arrive at the site you will see the public page allowing any internet user to see the services we offer. Near the top of the screen there is a red login button and a link to take you to our mobile phone version of the site. To log into the standard site, you have to press the login button. A login box now appears. As a subscriber to the site, you will need to type in your personal username and password into this login box and click the Stay Logged In box so that each time you visit the site, you will not have to continually enter your user details. Once you have entered your details, you press the button marked Login to access the site content. You're in. This homepage shows a summary of the latest site updates along with a notices section that will inform you of any recent changes to the site that we wish to draw your attention to. You will notice, running down the left hand side of the screen, a blue navigation column marked with Home, Library, Bulletins, etc. We will look at each of these sections individually, the bulletins first. To access these, you would click Bulletins on the navigation column. Doing this shows a summary of the bulletins produced over the last 30 days. Bulletins are a complete analysis of, and where relevant, commentary on, all relevant developments and their implications in tax, pensions and trusts produced on a day-to-day basis. Under each date you will find the title of the bulletin underlined as a web link. Underneath this, in capitals, is the subject area this bulletin has been posted under, which will be explained later. We will now take a look at one of these bulletins. This has now opened up the bulletin. At the top of the page you will see the title of the bulletin, the subject heading it has been filed under, a brief synopsis of its content and the date it was posted. Beneath this is the content of the bulletin, informing you of the news. At the end of most bulletins we will write a comment on how this news is going to affect either you, your client or the industry in general. In many bulletins we will include links to the source documentation from which the news article was derived, or to previous bulletins in which we have tracked a particular development or discussed an issue previously. In either case, the reference document will appear in a separate browser as can be seen here. Returning to the recent bulletins list, we will now look at a type of bulletin entitled Weekend Newspapers. This is a From the Papers bulletin. Besides producing bulletins explaining the news and giving commentary on it, we also produce bulletins listing all the articles from certain broadsheets of that day that we think you may find of interest. With these, we do not produce any form of comment, we just supply you with a link to take you, in a separate browser box, to the newspaper article. Please note that many of the newspapers now require a subscription to view the articles fully. Returning to the recent bulletins list, as mentioned previously, this lists the last 30 days worth of bulletins produced on the site. Any bulletins produced before the last 30 days can be found in the bulletin archive. This can be accessed by choosing either the archive icon that is shown on the left-hand navigation column or choosing the entire Techlink bulletin archive by subject above the recent bulletin list on the current page. Once that is pressed, you are presented with a list of subjects. These are the subjects that are common throughout the Techlink website. Each of these links hold the archive of bulletins produced on that subject heading. As an example of how this works, we will be looking at inheritance tax planning. This is a list of the last year's worth of bulletins produced on inheritance tax planning, showing their title, their synopsis, and the date they were posted. You will notice that there is a drop-down menu entitled Show Bulletins From, above the first bulletin on the list. If you were to click on this drop-down, you would be able to choose which year's worth of bulletins you would like to see. Clicking any of the bulletin links shown on this page will bring up the bulletin in the same format as we saw earlier. We are now going to look at the library section of the site, which can be accessed by clicking on the library button on the navigation column. The library offers a focused, comprehensive library of all the information on tax, the law and product applications we believe you will need. Once you have clicked on the library section, you are presented with the list of subject headings we saw within the Bulletin's archive. However, this time by clicking on one of these you will be presented with an encyclopedia of information regarding that topic. In this instance we are going to take a look at capital gains tax reliefs. When entering a library subject you are presented with the topic headings that have been written on it, in this case capital gains tax reliefs. For each subject heading we break it down into separate topics, and within each of these we try to explain the subject, from the very basics to the more complex and planning points associated with that area. On this screen we can see the names of the various capital gains tax reliefs, which have been used as the names of the topics. With each one is a brief synopsis of its content. We are now going to look at one of these. You are now seeing the content of our library topic on entrepreneurs relief. At the top you will see the topic title, the subject area within the site it's related to, and in a blue box a synopsis of the content of the topic. Beneath this is the last time the topic was updated and what that update involved. Further down you will see a content list which will jump you to the relevant parts of the document below it. We lay most library topics out in the same way as shown here, going from the very basics of the subject, such as how and why it was introduced, through how something works or is calculated, through to more advanced points such as anti-avoidance issues and various planning opportunities. In all cases we will write these in a clear and understandable language as we can, using aids such as diagrams or questions and answers to help clarify points. It is worth noting that at the very start of the page there is an important guidance note. The library is regularly updated with the content of any relevant bulletins produced. However, whenever you are using the library for research, we always recommend that you look at the relevant bulletin section to see whether any bulletins that have been produced on the subject have not yet been incorporated into the library document. This can easily be done by clicking the Bulletins link at the bottom of the screen under the heading Related, which is what we shall now do. We are now at the Bulletin Index for capital gains tax reliefs, from which you can check if any bulletins have been produced since the update date on the information library we saw earlier. If you wish to return to the capital gains tax reliefs library, you can click on the link marked All Techlink Library on this subject at the bottom of the screen. This returns you to the capital gains tax reliefs library. You will find these two related links available within each subject area of the site to take you between the library and bulletin sections of each topic. We are now going to take a look at the Need to Know section of the site. This is again available from the blue navigation column on the left of the screen. The aim of the Need to Know service is to supply the user with quick guides on the current hot topics. These are not as in-depth as the library topics, but enables you to gain a good grounding quickly on a topic that you may be unfamiliar with. Here you can see a list of the current Need to Know topics along with the date each one was last updated. We are going to take a look at one of these now. Each Need to Know topic is laid out in the same format. Below the title is the date it was last updated, followed by the content list which, like the library content list, will jump you to the relevant section below. Each Need to Know topic will outline why you need to know the information, i.e. what makes this a hot topic with clients, before then going on to explain the topic, i.e. what you need to know. That concludes the first part of our Techlink guide. In part 2 I shall guide you through the multimedia aspects of the website, the search facility, email alerts, and finally the CPD tracking that the site offers.